We are back. It is episode 9, number 9.
Number 9?
It always goes back to number 9. Yeah, number 9. So for those who don't know, that's our Beatles reference from that horrible song. The only song in their catalog that I really can't listen to. I can listen to everything they did except that song.
That had to be intentional, right? It had to be that. That was beyond their shiny, happy people going back to the REM theme, right? This had to be them intentionally going for how annoying can we be.
Right. We are so popular and so great. We are going to now do something completely ridiculous and just throw everyone off.
Right.
But it was also the time period too, right? I mean, everybody was experimenting with drugs and just the sound in general. And I think it probably is indicative of that.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. So today we're going to do something different. Well, first of all, I switched locations, Craig. I had to get in a better spot. The last couple of weeks, I was telling you, I just wasn't comfortable. I'm sitting on a sofa in my office.
Nice.
By next week, I should have stuff hung so I can also look like you, but I will not have my vinyl, at least for now, as the backdrop. But this is a much easier spot for me to record from. I have not been hunting today. I've got my camo on. This is my poncho camo hoodie. Are you familiar with poncho? Do you know
it's familiar with a poncho, but not.
Oh yeah,
no.
No. Yeah, this is a brand called Poncho. It's a mostly outdoors type shirts, and they also make this hoodie, and they make phenomenal stuff. Mostly Western snap shirts.
Yeah.
They're just incredible. You should go check it out. Poncho. I think it's poncho.com or ponchooutdoors.com, but you should check them out.
All right.
Yeah, but this could be my record hunting shirt. Different kind of hunting.
Yeah. And for those that didn't see our first couple of episodes, check out the first couple of episodes. This is episode 9, so it would be 7 and 8. I think we started on 7 on YouTube, and you will see just a glimpse of Shawn's record collection. It's pretty impressive.
Just a glimpse. One of these days, what I will do is I will grab my computer, my laptop, or I'll just get a camera set up and I'll just shift it around.
You put it on like a tripod and just do
panoramic
360
view or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Yeah, I bought a couple of records yesterday actually, so I'll save that for another episode. But today we are going to do something different. And Craig, and for everyone listening and watching, this could be brilliant or it could be a complete disaster, which I kind of like. I kind of like that we're living on the edge a little bit.
Okay.
Before we even get into that, I'll just mention real quickly, I'm reading 2 books right now. One that I read during the day. Well, actually, it's Audible. During the day, I'm doing the REM. The name of this band is REM. Came out last year. Phenomenal book on the history of REM. It's very comprehensive. It covers everything, all the background of REM, all the way through, to where I am now. I'm actually on the Monster album right now, and there was a lot of turmoil, more than I realized as I'm reading that. So I'm reading that book right now. Highly, highly recommended for you, anyone else listening.
Cool.
At night, so I have one thing I listen to during the day typically, which is when I'm going out for a walk or when I'm driving, I'll put on my Audible books and listen to that. And then at night, I read Kindle on my phone, just get in bed and I'll read a book. And so right now I'm reading Brothers by Alex Van Halen.
Oh, cool.
Great book.
I've heard that's a great book. Yep.
It is. And the thing that I never thought of with that, because I've always been a huge Van Halen fan. First of all, where are you with Van Halen? Are you?
I've always liked them. I've never revered them in the same way. I've revered Eddie. And don't get me wrong, great band. And there's several albums that I love. I just haven't put them on that, in that stratosphere that a lot of other metal and hard rock fans, just rock and roll fans, put them in. But I think over time that's starting to shift a little bit because the more I hear it, the more I realize how timeless it is,
Absolutely. And, some of their stuff, I think their early albums particularly, it could be hit or miss. The first album is just brilliant.
Oh,
it's just,
that's a classic. Right.
It has got to be, it's got to be in my top 20 debut albums of all time. Easily. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, agreed.
Then it gets a little hit or miss. They got Rush back in the studio. Of course, this is back in the 70s where the record label said, okay, as soon as you're finished touring, you're back in the studio, no break.
Right.
They actually took a bunch of songs that they'd already recorded for demos. I didn't realize that, but now reading the book, Van Halen 2 was basically already written, and they
Oh,
had already recorded a lot of those songs already, like
didn't know
Dance the
that.
Night Away, Beautiful Girls. Yeah.
Yep.
So, you get a couple of covers in there like You're No Good, which actually I think is a really good
Excellent.
cover. I think
Yeah, I was gonna say.
it's the way it was produced, the sound. But the thing that I love about this book, I've read a lot of stuff on Eddie Van Halen. I've read a couple of books on Van Halen, 2 books, in fact, Running with the Devil. And then there was a book, I can't remember the other one, but this one is truly perspective of somebody inside the band and he's basically, it's a book dedicated to his brother. And the way he starts it, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it was perfect, is he said, there's been a lot written about Van Halen. There's been a lot written about Eddie, my brother,
Mhm.
but I was there from the beginning. I know the whole story. And I thought,
Yeah.
wow, okay, I'm in.
Right.
That's pretty cool because
Yeah.
nobody else knows the whole story. And they were connected. I think they were 20 months apart. They were born in Holland. They moved to the US. Most people think of Van Halen as just Southern California
Pretty
rock and
much.
roll band. You don't really think that they were the children of immigrants that came into this country and couldn't
No.
speak English.
Yep.
And it's a great story for anybody that loves Van Halen or just likes to read about rock and roll. That is a highly recommended book as well.
Cool. Very cool.
Do you have anything on your book list right now that you're reading or getting ready to read?
No, LASIK had LASIK back in 2017, and it's starting to finally fail me. And so I've got 3 books on deck. One of which is, what is it? Cool Town, which you know that book, right? About the
Oh
history
yeah.
of Athens.
Yeah.
I got that for Christmas. That's been on my list for a while. I've got an Alex Chilton book that I've been wanting to
Ooh.
dive into. It's been a bit of a trudge. It's very long. The print's very small, and so I know I need readers, but readers are what I don't know. It's a long story. So no, I haven't been doing a lot of
Ooh.
reading lately, but I've got 3 on deck. Once I decide where I'm going from here, whether I get readers or whether I get my eyes touched up, I think I'm going to do a touch
Yeah.
up.
Well, great segue because I got the readers here and I'm going to have to use them for this episode a lot.
Yeah.
So these are my cheap Amazon glasses. So I'll be using those today. Why don't we jump right in? I'm
Great.
excited about this. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. So the book that I have, and we talked on a previous episode that I have this collection of a couple hundred music books. This one is called 101 Greatest One Hit Wonders.
Okay.
It was published in 2003 by Brett. The guy's name is Brent Mann, Mann.
Mm-hmm.
And I flipped through it in the past, but it's just kind of been sitting on my shelf collecting dust. And I was looking at it one day and I thought, this would be an interesting podcast to do something similar to what we do with Uncut.
Yeah. Yeah.
It numbered from 1 to 101. So it's 101 Greatest One Hit Wonders.
Okay.
I figured you would just pick a number like you do with Uncut. I don't know what it's going to be. You don't know what it's going to be. And it's either going to be something that we know or there's some stuff in there that we absolutely are going to say next too. But I thought it'd be fun just to cover it because one hit wonders, really, so many of the bands that we love are one hit wonders because they had one hit.
And that's my precursor before we start this is what is their definition and criteria of a hit? Because I've heard a billion, it seems like, different, whether it's Billboard, whether it's top 40, whether it's top 100, top 2, if it's even registered on Billboard, if Billboard's even a barometer. Is that something that's defined in his book? Just curious, not to.
So no, it's a really good question. And I was actually going to look here because I was going to see in the intro if he says, but I assume it's a song that was in the top 40
Okay.
at least.
Right.
But, it was a charting hit. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Okay.
It was a charting hit. And yeah, there's going to be some stuff here that I just am flipping through this that we're going to go, oh yeah, love this song, love this band. And then there's going to be some that are truly, when I think of a one hit wonder, I think of Break My Stride by Matthew Wilder. You remember that song from the 80s?
Yeah.
Ain't Nothing Gonna Break My Stride. That's a true one hit wonder because I had no idea what that guy did before or after.
Right.
But there are other ones in here that we're going to go, oh gosh, they were great. They did 12 albums and they were all great. They just weren't a top 40 radio band.
Yep.
So I think there's going to be a combination of things. So I say we just jump right in. We'll start with 10. We may move really fast, and we'll see if we want to add a few more to the list or if we just stop at 10.
Okay, so
How's
he's
that sound?
ranking from 101 to 1. So let's just go right out of the gate. Let's go 101.
All right, 101. Wow,
There's got to be a reason it's 101. I wonder what his thinking
yeah.
on, instead of 100 doing 101, if he felt like this has to be in there, or if 101 is more of like a, you think of instructional guides and, school, you think of 101. So maybe that's his thought. I don't know.
This is a great example of a one-hit wonder and of a song that has endured.
Yeah.
And is such a great song, but it truly is the only song I really know by them. But number 101 from 1985, Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves.
Oh, for sure.
I love that song.
Great.
I mean, I know that song's overplayed. It's been in so many movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
That song, just like the title, it makes me happy. Walking on Sunshine. It's such a great song.
Great song. Yeah. I've always wondered, why don't we know more about them? Do they? I've never looked them up to find out. Do they have one album? Do they have, because I'm sure this is going to dive back a bit further back than the 80s, and there's going to be a ton from the 80s, I can imagine. But why weren't they then like the Pretenders? Because I felt like they were like a really bouncy, poppier Pretenders.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, less of an edge.
Yeah.
But also, in fairness, we only know that one song. There's other stuff may have been absolutely killer. It may have been Pretenders-esque, and we don't even know.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a great question. As much as I love that song, I've never heard any other song by her, and I've never thought to go back to it. All right, so I'm keeping track here. If I can find my pen. But that's Katrina and the Waves, Walking on Sunshine. All right, what number you want to go with next?
Let's go. So we're doing 10. Let's do 85.
85. And just for everyone listening, watching, it's going to take me a second to flip through these pages because it's a fairly good sized book. But number 85 is, oh my gosh, this is actually in a pharmaceutical ad commercial, but they changed the name. This is Magic by Pilot.
Oh, yeah.
From 1975. Honestly, I'm so sick of hearing Ozempic. Yeah, I'm so sick of this song.
Me too.
I used to like this song, but I actually now I don't think I could listen to it anymore. I've heard the Ozempic version so many times. I'm just fed up.
Yeah. I think we all reluctantly like that song at one point because it's not.
Yeah.
It's kind of cheesy, but it's also kind of definitely an earworm, right? Definitely the only, if you hadn't have told me who it was by, I wouldn't know the artist, honestly. It's one of those bands, every time that song came on, I would never know who it is. That's sad, but I wouldn't.
Sad, but true. I think it's another band that so far we've already hit it with two true one-hit wonders where we go, they have one hit and I have no idea.
Right.
And I would be shocked if anyone listening knows any other song by Pilot. If they do, I want an email because I want to know what song to go listen to next.
And that would be revinylpodcast@gmail.com.
Oh, nice. Way to go, Craig.
You got to throw got blatant, little blatant advertising there.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we went from 101 to 85. Let's do 76.
76. In our one-hit wonder list here. Number 76, he has ranked as, this is another great example of one-hit wonder. So far we're 3 for 3. 1974, Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks. That's another song that's pretty universal, right? We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, right?
Yeah.
And it was...
who's the artist again?
Terry Jacks.
Never heard that name before. Isn't that sad? Yeah,
and it was a number one hit too.
Wow.
Yeah. Going back for a second, let me just do this now that I realize he put the I guess the highest chart. Magic by Pilot was, that'd be a good name for a band, Magic Pilot. Magic by Pilot peaked at number 5.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'm going to bet Katrina and the Waves. That was a tough time because there was a lot of good hits. I'm going to bet that was number 3. Let's see here.
Definitely top 10.
Definitely. Oh, wow, number 9, number 9. There we go again.
This theme
We
keeps
can never
tracking
escape.
back. We're never gonna live
Yeah,
this down.
never. Yeah, well, we'll move on. I don't know anything about Terry Jacks. That song is catchy, but not a song that it's not on my playlist. I don't
Yeah,
have a
for
playlist with
sure. Yeah,
Seasons in the Sun. All
yeah,
right.
same here. All right, what about 68?
All right, 68. I like that you're moving down. It gives me a chance to kind of get hit. Oh, man. This is actually one of your favorite artists, I believe, and
Okay,
this is one that's not a one. It's not the quintessential one hit wonder like the last three. This is an
okay.
artist who had a huge hit and then released a lot of other great songs afterwards, but just wasn't top 40. And that's Chris Isaak's "Wicked Game,"
Oh,
1991.
yeah, that's
You love them,
oh, absolutely. I would say that album, really the album before that, just called Chris Isaak. Silvertone, the debut is good. The follow up is the self titled album. That's when to really he started to kind of find his niche. And then this Heart Shaped World, I love that album. San Francisco Days and Forever Blue. Those three albums back to back, I'd put up against most artists. Very underrated. I would say he's kind of a little bit of blue eyed soul, a little bit of pop. Um, a little bit
little
of
Elvis Presley, Roy Orbison,
definitely
right?
Roy Orbison, definitely some Elvis in there. Never really quite had that kind of swagger of Elvis,
Yeah,
but he was influenced by the what influenced Elvis, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So
Sun
um,
Records kind of
yeah,
sound.
absolutely. Sun Records all the way. Um, Roy would be a huge, had to have been a huge influence for him. And I swear by Baja Sessions. My wife and I listen
Yeah,
to that album every night as the sun goes down when we're at the beach. It is a
dang,
tradition. It is just, and he does a Roy Orbison cover. Um, I think he's underrated. I still think Wicked Game is a fantastic song. I do,
great
but
song.
he's so much more than that. And to me, my favorite album from him is San Francisco Days. That album from start to finish is just flawless. So fantastic artist. I'm not surprised, but I am. And there's one other song, Baby Did a Bad Thing. I'm surprised that
Oh, yeah.
I bet you hear that more than Wicked Game these days. It's been used in
Maybe,
so many
yeah.
commercials
That's
and
and
movies.
movies, TV shows. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
This song though, I remember when it came out, it was just it took over everything.
Yep.
Everyone was freaking out about who's this Chris Isaacs guy. He was a really good looking guy. He had the whole look, right? The voice and the look in that video. And I
With
forget who the model was.
Helena, I was gonna say
Yeah.
him with Helena in that video. It's hard to find
Yeah.
a hotter combo than those.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah, that was
unreal.
a steamy video for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great song. I bought that album when it came out because of that song, because of Wicked Game, and then the song that I love the most, though, I think it's the first track is "Don't Make Me Dream About You."
Oh, love
That
that song.
that is a
Yep.
killer song. I
Yep.
mean, right right from the start, when I heard that, I thought, "Okay, I'm gonna love Chris Isaacs." But I have to say, I haven't kept track with them the way you have, and I need to go back and listen to the San Francisco
Oh, yeah,
Nights.
and
Is that
another
right?
track off that album in particular, King of the Highway. Oh, that's
Oh, yeah.
just earth crushing.
Yeah.
Fantastic artist. We had a chance to see him at Atlanta Symphony, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and even to that point, he was just so good live. So highly recommend.
Does he play guitar most of the time as well, or
He
is
does.
okay.
He's got a guitarist that's played with him. God, really, as long as I can remember, since the Heart Shaped World era.
Yeah.
And that guy's his main. That's his main guy. But yeah, he plays guitar as well. But he plays more rhythm than lead, I think.
Well, that was a good pick, okay.
All
What
right,
do you got
let's
next?
see. 55. So how many is this? This is
55.
this is five now, right?
This will be the 5th one,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, 55.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'm not gonna know that. This is 1965. The song is called "Keep on Dancing" by the Gentrys. No idea.
We might know it. It's not ringing a bell.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it looks like maybe the Bay City Rollers did a version of this, but yeah, we'll go on. We'll move on.
Okay.
That's another. That's a good one hit wonder right there. The
All right.
Gentrys,
Yeah.
Keep on Dancing. All right, your sixth
Um,
one.
43.
All right. Oh, you're going way down. Let's see. 43. Oh man. This song, I can't listen to this song. And it got played so much in the 80s. 1985, Murray Head, One Night in Bangkok.
Oh, that's definitely a one
It's
hit. Um,
it's just I mean, it's catchy, but it's just kind of annoying for me. I don't know. It's not a
it's
song I listen to
It's
much
one of the
ever.
reasons why I think the 80s gets pegged the way it does with the sound
Yeah.
of like synthesizers and everything's real kitschy. And whereas it's I don't believe in that, don't subscribe that at all. We know that some of the best music came out of the 80s,
Oh,
but a lot of the stuff that was
absolutely.
played on the radio, and a lot of the stuff that was played on the radio, the hits, when you listen to those bands, you realize they're much better and bigger than that hit. Um, yeah, I could not tell you another song. In fact, I thought Murray Head sang something else. So yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good one. Okay, that's 6. Okay, your 7th pick.
35.
35. All right, number 35. Oh man, I love this song. I love this is another truly one hit wonder. And I don't know any other song that they did, but I loved it. I didn't realize this was 1972. I would have guessed 75 probably, but Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking Glass.
Oh,
It's another song that gets played a ton, but that's a great song.
that is a great song. Okay. And you said it's Looking Glass?
Looking Glass.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I do love that
Yeah.
song though.
Go to any yacht rock show and you will hear that song, right?
Yeah.
Or let me say this: go to any place where people over 40 go, and you're going to hear that song.
For
It's
sure. Absolutely.
it's just one of those songs. I love that song. I actually, it's a good example of a one hit wonder that doesn't get on my nerves, even though it's been played a ton. I
Well,
just think it's a
speaking
great.
of sidebar, remind me at the end of this podcast about yacht rock, and
Okay.
we'll reconvene in a different conversation. But okay, so
Okay.
moving on.
All right. Number
Uh,
8 for you.
28.
All right. So Craig's eighth choice, number 28. Oh my gosh, I should know this song, and I probably do. It's Cantaloupe
Oh,
by
from Us Three.
is it Us Three from 1994? I don't remember that song. Please don't sing it, but
Oh, so
I'll
it's
go
not.
check it out.
It's not. It was a remix, basically,
Oh,
of a Herbie Hancock song,
really?
which was really cool. Herbie Hancock kind of had a different. He kind of had a third or maybe even fourth life. The guy is remarkable piano player, and
Yeah,
he had quite the evolution. I mean, he was big in the 50s, 60s, had a big resurgence, really evolved in the 70s. And so to see him make that in the 80s, and this was what, 90, what year was this? 90,
94.
94. Okay. I remember when it came out thinking it sounded so familiar because I didn't know Herbie Hancock that well. And then I picked up the album that's got that track, and I was like floored. I was like, how all this time I never knew that they were just sampling Herbie, which is really cool. So,
Yeah, I guess it was called Cantaloupe Island originally, was
yeah,
the
yep,
Herbie Hancock version.
yep.
Yeah. I listened to him recently. He has a couple of his albums from the early 70s, and I wanna say it's the one with the Watermelon Man on it.
Oh,
I
that's
think that's
excellent.
the name of
Yeah,
the song.
yep.
Wow. He and
I
his
think that's
band that he's surrounded
Headhunters.
with.
Is it Headhunters?
Headhunters, that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
excellent album.
Yeah, I mean, it's trippy and psychedelic
Yeah,
and
man.
complex. But he was in that same because he was in the Miles Davis circle, right?
Right.
So he had probably a lot of the same musicians that played with Miles, and man, yeah, he's good. And he had that one big hit. He's probably in here somewhere with Rocket, right? Because he
Absolutely. I was
was
going to
in
say
such a
Rocket's
one hit
another one
wonder.
too with the being uh yeah, it's just awesome.
How funny.
What a trajectory.
That may be one we stumble upon. Okay, so this is going to be your ninth pick.
Let's do 19.
19. Yeah, another true one-hit wonder and another song that just I've heard so many times, like, I just don't care if I ever hear it again, is "Tub Thumping" by Chumbawamba. I mean, that is a quintessential one-hit wonder type song right there.
I was floored because I mean I think what is Tub Thumping? I think that's the name of the album or whatever. And so when it was released, it was huge. We just could not keep that CD in stock. And then this guy brings in all these Chumbawamba CDs, and I'm like, "What the heck are they? Are these imports?" And he goes, "No, these are their earlier albums." And I go, "They had other albums, like they had a lot of other albums. I want to say they
Yeah,
had like 5 albums prior to that." I was like, "Who knew?"
who knew? What genre? Did you ever listen to any of it to
No,
even
because
decipher? Yeah.
I mean, even when that song came out, I just thought, like, now I can listen to it in hindsight and go, it's not great, but at least it's fun. You know, it's a good drinking song, obviously. But at the time, I was like, oh man, you mean they've been putting out this kind of crap for that long? That's horrible.
Yeah,
But yeah,
someone lets them keep recording.
right, yeah. Sorry, no
All
offense
right.
to any Chubbawamba or whatever.
You can't even say it correctly.
I can't even say it correctly because I
Jumbo Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba, yeah, yeah.
First of all, with that name, I'm not flipping through the records and going, "Oh man, this sounds like a really cool band,
Yeah,
Chumbawamba."
you're not gonna put
Probably not gonna buy
Chumbawamba up
that.
there. Yeah, if you name your band Chumbawamba or Hoobastank, I'm probably not gonna pay attention to your stuff. So,
Yeah, exactly. Great point.
all
All
right,
right, your last selection,
last selection. Let's go with appropriately number 10. My
number
10th selection.
10. All right, number 10. I was sitting on number 9 because I figured you were probably gonna do
For
that.
the ninth episode. Shoot, I should have done.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This song I don't really remember. I know this song. I remember it was big. 1991, Aletta Adams, Get Here. That's that song, I think, Get Here When You Can or something like that.
Oh
It was
yeah,
a
I
really
remember
slow
her
song.
name, Olita Adams, but I don't.
And
Um,
I don't know, and I apologize. It could be Oletta and not Olita. It's Oleta, so it might be Aletta Adams.
we always
Apologies.
pronounce it Olita, but that could completely be wrong on our part. I don't know.
I
Um,
feel I feel like this was a song that was on a really like a Hallmark commercial or
yeah.
something back in the day, and I don't know why, but I remember it around the time of the Gulf War, maybe being a pretty
Oh,
big hit.
okay.
There's something there with that, but it was never a song for me that I ever really paid attention to,
There
but
were several like pop R&B soul artists back during that era that had like one hit. Like I'm thinking of Dion Ferris, like I Know What You're Doing. I think that's a great song, by the
oh,
way.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a great song. That's got to be on this list too. That put out good music, but they never really did anything other than they put out a single, it became a hit, and then I never heard from them again.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was a period, I think, in the late '80s and early '90s, especially even with female solo artists.
yeah,
There seemed to be a time when there were just a lot of them just came out of nowhere, and I'm thinking even, Ani DeFranco,
yeah.
but, I mean, she'd been around for years, and there are people who love all of her stuff, but she had that one song, right? That
Right.
was, 42 Flavors or something like that? I
I
forget,
can't.
41 Flavors, something.
She's
Yeah,
a
but
good
there were
woman.
songs like that that you heard a lot of those it's probably a lot of those in the book. Well, that was pretty good. I mean, I think 10 is enough for one episode, unless you
Yeah.
wanna keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
We'll
fun.
see.
We can keep this going. It's not none of that
Yeah.
was I'm sure we'll get to some. Like now I want to start speculating what's on
Mhm.
the list. Like artists
Oh,
that
yeah.
and I think of the artists that shouldn't be one-hit wonders that I know of course. You know, there's a couple that I can think of that I'm a diehard fan of, like Chris Isaac, that were
Yeah.
prolific and put out multiple albums and are still putting out albums. Um, but beyond that, there's other artists I can think of, and I'll go ahead and throw one out there. Terrence Trent D'Arby is going to be on there, and that guy's awesome. I mean,
Oh my
he
gosh.
is incredible. I mean, introducing the hard line, and he had two, if not three albums. I know two albums in particular that I thought were just phenomenal. I just didn't understand why he didn't take off, but I bet Wishing Well is the only song that people know.
Yeah, the song he released after that, If You Let Me Stay.
Yeah, great
Oh
song.
my gosh.
Yeah.
That guy, yeah, he was sort of that modern day Sam Cooke type
Yeah.
singer, that pure 60s soul sound. I mean, I devoured that album when it came out. That album for me was
Yeah.
I own it on vinyl. In fact, I bought it. You were with me. I remember that when I bought that record. I love that record.
It's
I
excellent.
just think he was,
I think maybe he was too hard to categorize. He was too hard to pigeonhole,
yeah,
because I
yeah,
think
because he wasn't pure R&B.
he wasn't.
He was,
Yeah, he was grittier. I think he to me fell in line, and he may have been tagged as like the next because he was being acclaimed by the critics. It just never really took
yeah,
off. Didn't I, the way I may have heard him being is he's the next Prince or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I
because he
could
had the dance moves. He
yeah,
had the look.
he
Absolutely, I
could
was
play
thinking
his
the
own
same.
instruments. He had a very versatile
Yeah.
voice and sound. Should have been for sure. But okay,
How
cool.
how does a guy that talented fall into fade into obscurity? Because there's a lot of these where I go, yeah, they probably got lucky. They had one novelty hit, but you're right. The band that I'm thinking of, and I'll just say this and we'll move on, but the one that I think will be in here somewhere is Kajagoogoo, Too Shy, which I
Oh,
love that. I still love
I
that
still
song.
love that song.
That
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was a one-hit wonder. Now in the UK, they probably had 30 they probably had 30 hits in the UK, but in the US, they were definitely a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, yeah. Some songs like that are just irresistible. You know,
Yeah.
it's a good song. It's trapped in time, but I think some stuff that sounds dated. I don't think dated has to be a bad thing. I just
No,
don't.
I
I think
agree.
dated could be a good thing actually, if that's what you're wanting to hear. And there's people that that chase that dated sound. There's people
Yeah.
that buy. There's a reason why artists. I look back over here because my guitar rig and stuff's over here. But there's people that chase that and won't buy anything new. They want it to sound like the '60s or the '70s. So
Right.
if that's a bad thing, then why are people trying to chase that sound? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you wanna do uncut? You wanna plow through 5 of them?
I just so happen, Shawn, to have the
Yeah.
list up as we speak.
All right.
Let's
I
do
know
it.
the listeners are so for those of you that are just joining our podcast, we take this magazine, it's called the 500 Greatest Albums of the 1990s. It's Uncut magazine, my favorite UK music magazine, probably really my favorite music magazine, and they list out their 500 best albums of the 90s, and we just started randomly going through here. Craig does not have the magazine. He calls out a number and I tell us what it is. So you want to do 5? We'll plow through them pretty fast.
So, and just for the sake of this might be a really failed experiment, but just so you
Hmm.
guys can see it, if you can see my screen.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
this is how I do it.
yeah,
I highlight everything. So everything that's highlighted in that light blue, we've selected. So we have a lot of white left. There's a lot. I'm
yes.
determined. We are determined as a group. I'm going to stop sharing this real quick, but we're determined to make this entire spreadsheet blue. So,
And that's at least through 250, correct?
right.
At least
Yeah.
through about
That's
250.
250.
Okay.
We started now
Yeah.
for clarity for those that don't know. We started
Yeah.
with 500 and realized that was a little too ambitious.
Well, we did the math and went, well, we'll be 80 years old by the time we get through the list. This will never end.
Right.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
All right. Well, I'm going to do my traditional start high, go low. Let's go with 246.
All right, 246. Okay. It is, yeah, I know this cover so well because it's kind of an odd cover. It's Aphex Twin, Richard D. James album from 1996. I don't know much about Aphex Twin.
The only thing somebody mentioned Aphex Twin, I was at the local brewery that we will end up podcasting at, a local brewery called Mean King. Highly recommended.
Yeah.
Was talking to a guy whom I've literally talked to this guy at 3 different breweries. He's a diehard fan of hard rock and metal. He actually commented on our podcast and said, "I loved your
Nice.
list. Can't really argue with anything. You know, I might have some different selections, but his son was with him, and his son showed me all these different playlists he had, and it was so all over the map. I go, dude, I love this. This is awesome. You keep doing what you're doing." And he had
Yeah.
Aphex Twin, and I told him, and I'll tell you the same thing. You know, the only thing I know from Aphex Twin is Selected Ambient Works Volume 2 or something like that. I don't even know if he ever put out a Volume 1, but I have Volume 2 and I've listened to it, and it's like spooky ambient music is all I can say.
Yeah.
But I don't think his normal catalog is like that. I think it's more, I don't know if it's techno or dance, but so I can't speak to it other than his ambient works, but his ambient stuff is really good. Really good.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I'm not, don't know anything about Aphex Twin. All right. What do you have next?
208.
All right. I'm actually, for those watching, I'm leaning down so I can flip the pages here. 208. Yeah, this is another one that for me, just a real blind spot, and it's PJ Harvey Dry. You know more about PJ Harvey than I do. We've talked about her
Um,
a little bit before. The UK, by the way, they love PJ Harvey. The UK music press
yep.
always loved PJ Harvey.
That was before I really liked Rid of Me, which, if I'm not mistaken, Rid of Me was the album that followed Dry. Correct me if
Okay.
I'm wrong. I liked it at the time, but to me, it hasn't aged as well. I respect the hell out of what she did back then. But honestly, the only album from her that I truly, truly love is an album called To Bring You My Love. Is
Oh yeah.
just a beautiful, beautiful album. She does a duet with Tom York. I
Mm,
love, love, love that album. Everything before and after hasn't been bad. In fact, some of her more recent albums have been really good. But
yeah.
her earlier stuff was very. It was like a female version, kind of Nick Cave and the
Okay.
Bad Seeds. Kind of real heavy, real gritty. Like
Yeah.
I said, I admire the heck of it at the time, and I still think she's a true pioneer. But it's not something I go back and listen to.
Okay. All right. You have three more shots here.
135.
135. All right. 135. Oh, here we go. You love this album a lot, and I know this album, but I haven't listened to it in a long time. The Auteurs New Wave.
Oh yes, thank you. I'm so glad that that's the album that's in there too. That's their first album. Luke Haynes, excellent, excellent song. I don't know if anybody quite like him. Um,
Yeah,
you mentioned like you liked Blur because they just sounded British.
yeah,
Nobody has more of that prototypical UK sound than Luke. He sounds like
right.
you're immediately transported to wherever he is, wherever he's located. And New Wave to me, I remember finally finding a used copy of that on CD, and I've been seeking it out on vinyl, but it's a bit pricey, and it rarely pops up. But I remember finding it on CD. I was going in for Oklahoma City, and I was there to train because we had been bought out. We bought a franchise from Disco Round. CD Warehouse bought us out, and so we had to learn their processes, their software, and whatever. So they brought us to Oklahoma City. I was there with a guy that knew the area really well, and he goes, "Hey, you got to check out this record store I used to go to in college." I was like, "Awesome, let's do it." So go there, and the only thing I could find was that CD. And I remember, like, I told him, I said, "You can't. We have to listen to this." And he goes, "But I'm probably not going to like it. I don't like your music." And I go, "Like, I don't care. We have to
You're going
listen.
to listen to this.
You're going to listen to this." And he walked away and he goes, "I didn't love it, but it's better than I thought it would be." But yeah, there's so many just great, great songs on that. And I learned about them from a Caroline compilation. I found 3 or 4 bands. I found David Gray on this Caroline compilation. Idaho, I discovered Idaho and the Auteurs
Oh yeah.
all on that same Coming Up Caroline from like 1995, something like that. I I love that album in particular. I love the auteurs, but that's the best album to me.
I'm going to go back and listen to it. It's probably been 25 years since I've listened to that album. And I liked it at the time, but I haven't gone back to it. So I have to check it out.
Nice. All right.
All right. You got two more.
I get a lot of white on this one row here from 101 to
Yeah.
125. So let's go 112.
All right. 112. Can't let Craig see the book because then he'd be cheating. We know he doesn't want to do. Okay, 112. I'm such a huge fan, but I really don't know this album. It's David Bowie, Outside.
Oh,
What year is this from? This is from 90. This is from 95.
95. I
He
don't
reunited with Eno on this album. That's, I guess, the
blind
big
spot.
news.
His,
Yeah.
his 90
Yeah.
stuff is a total blind spot. And I remember he did
Yeah.
something. Didn't he do like an acoustic, like an unplugged or 99X unplugged with them? And I remember listening to it, walking away going, he's putting out some interesting stuff. But sadly, I've never listened to that album or there's 3 or 4 albums from the 90s that all are at least rated decently to critically acclaimed. I've never listened to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't either. All right. Last chance. Last one.
Let's do 50.
50. All right. Okay. Another artist that I'm familiar with, and I know some of his earlier stuff, but I don't know this album, although I do know this album cover. It's pretty weird. Is Julian Cope, Peggy Suicide from 1991.
I
don't know a lot about Julian Cope. Sorry?
Other than Teardrop Explodes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I love his stuff like Kilimanjaro. If you haven't heard that album, people, if
That's
you're an
great.
Echo and the Bunnymen fan, you need to listen to Kilimanjaro from Teardrop Explodes. It's awesome. I've never listened to what was there was another one that I think
Yeah.
might have been on this list. Jehovah something.
Yeah.
Jehovah Kill.
Jehovah Kills or something. Yeah.
That's the only one I've listened to.
Didn't he had one hit, right? World Shut Your Mouth. Wasn't that was Julian Cope?
Yeah.
He might be in that book. That may be in the book actually.
Talk about a parallel.
Like a one-hit wonder.
Oh yeah, total parallel. I love the title of that album, but I've never listened to it. What does the cover look like? You said
it is just bizarre. It's a painting of a woman, and it looks like something that would have been from the Renaissance era.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not much of an art guy, but it's just it doesn't even look like it's from the Renaissance. Now that I look at it more, it's just a bizarre painting of a person standing in front of what looks like the ocean. It's really weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's standard with that time period of just being super artsy. But yeah, I want to go back. I do really like Teardrop Explodes. You're correct. That's a great band, but Julian Cope for me, a definite blind spot.
Yep, I think so too.
Well, I know we're going to wrap up here. You were going to mention something about Yacht Rock before we wrap up.
Yeah.
You had a story.
And I sent you a text message, and we really need to go to the show. I was floored. I happened to watch. I wasn't even watching it. I saw a video that popped up on YouTube. I follow a couple of YouTube channels. One is this. He's a guitarist, an instructor. His name is Rhett Schul. He's from Atlanta. And he talked about a local band that he had just saw, and he goes, I think this is going to be your next favorite band or one of your favorite bands. It's a local band from Atlanta. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And it's a band called Improvement Movement. Is that right? Let me verify here. Hold on. And they are touring. They're the opening act. Yeah, it's Improvement Movement. They're the opening act for Neil Francis at Variety Playhouse. This is April 4th, I want to say, on a Friday. We have to go. I'm telling you, imagine a yacht rock version of the Punch Brothers.
Oh my gosh.
It's insane.
And it's called Improvement Movement?
Improvement Movement. Now,
Okay, I
Red is a
gotta.
very technically skilled guitarist. I'm talking
Okay,
very, very. He's amazing. There's a reason why his YouTube channel has 750,000 followers. He's phenomenal. He's a great instructor. Just a great dude. He's watching this and going, I'm telling you, the level of precision to which they're playing and the dynamic shifts that they do. When he says it's perfect, he's not lying.
that's
You,
yeah.
I guarantee you will walk away and go, done, going.
All right, I am. Yeah, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah,
A Punch Brothers yacht rock
yeah,
combo. Wow. All right, improvement movement. Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
yeah.
I I saw a tribute band. We'll wrap with this. There's so much talent out there.
There
There's
is.
so
Yep.
and for people listening, I hope everyone takes a chance to go out and see bands, and sometimes go see bands that maybe either you don't know, maybe you've listened to a little bit, but live music's always better. It just is. I saw
Yep.
a tribute band the other night, and it's actually a really clever name. It's a '90s rock tribute band, and they're called Better Than Ezra.
I love it. I
I
love it.
thought that was clever, and they were really good. I mean, they're not going to sell out an arena, but they played in a small club. The two vocalists were spot on. They did Matchbox 20, Better Than Ezra, Hootie and the Blowfish, stuff like that. Just fun music,
Yeah,
but they really nailed the vocals, and the band was tight. I mean, I had and it's just one of those things where you go out and have a good time,
yeah.
and that's what it's all about. I've been
Awesome.
doing a lot of those shows lately, so anyone out there, if you see Better Than Ezra coming to your town, it's the best $10 I've spent in a while. So
That,
it was very entertaining.
that's all. I love the band name. Proud
Yeah.
of that. A plus.
All right, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Another fun episode. Maybe next week you call it. We can go back to our standard talk about an album each, or we can do the 70s, that list 10 through 1, the best 70s albums.
Think we're gonna do albums because I'm gonna give a shout out to a friend of ours who we shout out a lot, but I'm gonna give a shout out to him because he's got two artists that I'm just utterly obsessed with right now. So,
Okay.
and one
All
of which
right,
I
let's
know
do it.
you might even know them, but one of which I know you will like them. So,
All right. Sounds good.
sweet.
I always have new albums that I bought to talk about. I bought 2 yesterday. In fact, one that I didn't even know had been re-released, so I may talk about that next week.
Oh, perfect.
It's a classic. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. All right, thanks everybody.